welcome to a very special evening to celebrate success, the success of all of our Dearborn Public Schools. Good evening, everybody. I'm David Mussonen, Communications Coordinator for the Dearborn Public Schools. Tonight we are here to talk about the School Improvement Council and the school improvement plans that our schools have been working on every year. The School Improvement Council was a new idea created by Dr. Artis back in the fall of 2006. It's made up of Dr. Artis and directors and also principals and coordinators in the district. They met with each school at the beginning of the year, and then midway through the year they actually went out and visited each school and assessed how their school improvement plan was going. They visited classrooms, talked with teachers, and then provided feedback to the schools so that if any adjustments to their school improvement plan was needed, the school could make those adjustments at that time. And tonight, the final stage of the School Improvement Council. That is, each school sharing with the Board of Education their successes. And to kind of explain what is going to take place here tonight, let's take a listen to Dr. Artis.
It's a pleasure for me to be the representative of this entire group of people that are here that you see today. And you're going to have an opportunity as a Board of Education, I think, to see some absolutely wonderful things that our schools have been doing. And you're going to have a chance to interact with the principals and with their members of their school improvement team, and a chance to look at some various boards that are identifying data and explaining exactly what they've been doing all year long. Now, board members, you have three other pieces of paper in your packet that shares with you the school improvement process that everybody in this audience used this year. The one paper that you have, which should look like this one, is the actual school improvement plan that all of the buildings were working off of this year and the work that they did in each of their respective buildings. You also have in your packet an end of the year report. This is what they're finally going to produce that shares their story. All right, and this part of what they're sharing this afternoon or this evening is that story. So you're going to be able to actually use this as kind of a checklist to see if they really can talk to you about any of this stuff or not. And as you walk around, I recommend that you carry this with you and just ask questions off of this sheet and see where people stand in regard to that. Now, the next part is, I think, the far more exciting piece, and that's your opportunity to visit and chat. I remember going into their room and finding this gigantic notebook, and they told me I couldn't take it out of there because it belonged to this teacher who was so proud of it that they'd put this together, but I could look at it. So, and I got to open it, and I got to actually examine the materials, and I'm being facetious, but in all reality, what incredible work. And that's what we discovered no matter where we went, was that the work that was going on by staff, by administration, by, in many instances, students as well, was something that we could actually see and in many instances almost feel and taste it when we walked into a building.
This sacred book that Dr. Artis referred to as one of our fine fifth grade teachers, actually both of them, Chris Fleming and Jenny Gartha, have taken all of the units of the math, the everyday mathematics that we use, and made listed the benchmarks for the parents and made the test to the benchmarks and put a lot of it in a MEP format, a constructed response, an interpretation of a graph or something. So that was the book that was unable to leave the room.
5 years ago, we, after doing our homework on our needs and our kids' needs in the building, we decided that there are 3 areas we need to hit. And the 3 areas were needed improvement in reading, writing, and problem-solving skills.
Well, the 3 areas that we focused on were 9th grade academy, and we chose 9th grade because that's the most pivotal year of high school. If students make it out of 9th grade in 1 year, their chances of graduating on time dramatically increase. Another focus was math achievement, because we saw a real need for that. Kids were not being successful in math, and now that the new graduation requirements are with us, students need to take 4 years of math through Algebra 2, so it's very important that they're successful in math. And our third goal was improvement in writing. And writing was identified by our teachers as a very important area that we needed to improve on, and the focus of the ACT and the new testing was on persuasive writing, and that wasn't something we had focused on before. We had focused on narrative writing. So those were our 3 goals.
We also have to have the capacity for people to take some ownership of their own accountability. And that's what you as a board are going to experience tonight, is the capacity of our staff to truly share and show their own accountability.
I think professional learning communities are essential. So having the staff on board, not only them, but multiple staff involved in the process and developing and presenting is critical. You know, our staff needs to be empowered to take true ownership of what's going on. So what we did as well is we operate really as a whole building 4 to 8. We don't operate a separate 4, 5, verse 6, 7, and 8. And I think that's critical. So every single goal we have, whether or not our students are in special education to, bilingual students, mainstream, we take ownership over all the students. And so that's kind of how our philosophy is.
So I think for next year, what we're really going to focus on is the assessment piece. And Dr. Artis talked about how each school received a feedback form on what they needed to improve upon, and that was the #1 piece for us, really looking at all of the assessments that we have, analyzing it, and really pinpointing the strategy that we're going to use to move students forward.
I can tell you one thing, never in our past, we as educators have worked so hard to ensure not only the transformation of knowledge to the kids, but also to ensure that our kids become competitive in a competitive market, in a global economy, and we start filtering in this information early in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, preparing them for high school and beyond. This is our world. It's exciting opportunity, but also we feel as a staff we need to prepare our kids for the future.
I am very proud of the staffs and the principals of our schools. I believe every one of them have taken seriously the issue of student achievement and have worked extremely hard to make sure that all students are given every opportunity possible to learn. I think that's what you're going to discover when you go around here. It's predicated on some very simple beliefs. First belief being that this is about children. This is about children. It's not about adults per se, but it's about children, and it's about helping children to be successful. And that's one of the beliefs that I believe you will see as you walk around the room. It's also predicated on being willing to be accountable. And certainly that's what we are sharing here and what you'll see on the sheets that you're working with. And in the final analysis, it's about the teaching that goes on in the classrooms. We do a lot of work to support the teachers, but the teachers make the difference. They're the ones that make it happen in the classrooms. And without them, without their support, without what they do in the classrooms, none of what you see tonight would take place.